The rain fell in thick sheets, drumming against the windows like 1,000 angry fists. Inside the dimly lit living room of his modest home, Samuel Carter sat hunched over a stack of papers, his heart heavy with an unspeakable dread. At 62, he had thought himself long past the days of heartbreak. But life had a way of stripping away illusions. The world outside was a blur of gray, but within the confines of his home, a storm was brewing far more tempestuous than the one raging outside. His fingers trembled as he flipped through the documents that had shattered his weary composure. The eviction notice, dated 3 days prior, felt like a noose tightening around his throat. He had spent years pouring his soul into this house, each nail and beam infused with memories of laughter, sorrow, and love. But now it was all slipping away, torn from him by the betrayal of the one person he had trusted most. His own son, Marcus. Run, they know. The text from his ex-partner echoed in his mind, a haunting whisper of urgency and despair. It had arrived just moments before the eviction notice, a lifeline thrown into the turbulent waters of his life. But it was a warning he had never expected, a sign that the depths of his son's treachery ran deeper than he could fathom. Marcus had always been the golden child, the one with promise and potential. Samuel had sacrificed everything for him, his time, his dreams, his very essence. He had watched with pride as Marcus graduated, earned his degree, and began to forge a career in business. But somewhere along that path, desperation had set in, a shadow creeping into Marcus's heart, leading him to make choices that were both tragic and unforgivable. Samuel leaned back in his chair, the weight of betrayal heavy on his chest. He could still remember the day he had welcomed Marcus back home, arms wide open after a brief stint in the corporate world, only to discover that his son had been plotting behind his back, conspiring with a corrupt real estate agent to sell off the family home without his consent. The betrayal felt like a dagger, twisting deeper with each heartbeat. The ink on the deed had barely dried before Marcus had turned against him, driven perhaps by a desperate need to escape the debts he had racked up, debts that had been hidden behind a facade of success. "Why?" Samuel whispered to the empty room, his voice cracking like the dry wood of the floor beneath his feet. What had he done to deserve this? Hadn't he given Marcus everything? But the answer was buried under layers of grief and anger, a bitter pill he couldn't swallow. He rose from his chair, the sound of the papers rustling in his wake. The rain continued its relentless assault, but Samuel felt a flicker of determination ignite within him. His son had assumed he was weak, that the years of quiet sacrifice had rendered him powerless. But beneath the surface, Samuel was a reservoir of untapped strength, a wellspring of resilience ready to burst forth. He stepped to the window, the glass fogging with his breath as he gazed out at the storm. The city he loved felt foreign now, a place where trust had been eclipsed by greed. But within that city lay a network of connections, a tapestry of relationships he had woven over a lifetime, and perhaps it was time to call upon them. In that moment, the flicker grew into a flame. Samuel knew he had to play the long game, to let Marcus revel in his false sense of victory while he plotted his own course of revenge. It would require patience and cold calculation, but he was ready. The world had underestimated him for too long, viewing him as merely the aging man who stood in the shadows. They didn't see the storm brewing within. He picked up his phone, fingers hovering above the screen as he contemplated his next move. The text from his ex-partner had been a warning, but it had also lit a fire beneath him. He could not afford to act out of desperation. He had to be strategic. "Run, they know." The words echoed once more, but this time they morphed into a rallying cry. He knew what he had to do. Samuel sank back into his chair, the heavy weight of the eviction notice still pressing down on him, but he resolved to turn that weight into armor. He had lost his home, but he would not lose himself. With every ounce of his being, he would ensure that Marcus would not escape the consequences of his actions unscathed. A plan began to take shape in his mind, intricate and fraught with potential pitfalls. He would reach out to old friends, the ones who had once looked up to him as a mentor, the ones who owed him favors. They would help him navigate the legal maze Marcus had set in motion. And in the shadows, he would watch, waiting for the day when his son would realize that the father he had betrayed was not as helpless as he had believed. The storm outside began to subside, but within Samuel, a tempest was just beginning to brew. He would not run. Instead, he would stand his ground, biding his time, a quiet storm gathering strength in the shadows. And when the moment was right, he would unleash that storm upon Marcus, teaching him a lesson that would echo through the corridors of his soul long after the dust had settled. "Let them think I'm broken," Samuel whispered to himself, a bitter smile curling his lips. "Let them think they've won." The rain has finally subsided to a whisper, with only the occasional patter of droplets falling from the roof onto the cracked pavement outside. Samuel stands in his modest living room, the air thick with the scent of damp wood and old memories. As he paces the worn carpet, the eviction notice pinned to the wall looms over him like an executioner's axe, a grim reminder of the betrayal that has shattered his world. He feels the weight of it pressing down on his chest, constricting his breath, yet buried beneath that anguish is a burgeoning resolve, a flicker of determination igniting within him. His phone vibrates against the chipped coffee table, breaking the silence. The screen lights up, revealing the text from his ex-partner, Lisa, who had reached out just when he felt most lost. "They know," she had said, cryptic yet urgent. The words cling to him, wrapping around his mind like a shroud, filling him with questions. Who are they? What exactly do they know? And more importantly, how can he turn this revelation into an advantage? Samuel sinks into the frayed armchair, the fabric rough against his skin, and stares out the window. The storm clouds have given way to an eerie calm, the city bathed in a muted light. He can see the remnants of the tempest reflected in the puddles gathering on the streets below, their surfaces rippling with every gust of wind. It's a reminder that life is in constant flux, much like his own circumstances. He pulls out his laptop, its screen flickering to life, and opens a blank document. He needs a plan, a way to reclaim his life and confront Marcus. As he types, each keystroke resonates with the echoes of his past, the sacrifices he made for his son, the dreams he had held close, now twisted by Marcus's greed. The betrayal stings, sharper than any storm, but Samuel is done cowering in the shadows of his own despair. His fingers hover over the keyboard, and he takes a deep breath. "Research," he mutters, the word tasting foreign on his tongue. He begins to scour the internet for information on the real estate market, legal loopholes, and the shady dealings of people like the agent Marcus has teamed up with. He recalls the old neighborhood, the community he had once been part of, filled with people who had shared both joys and struggles. If he can tap into those connections, perhaps he can turn the tide. As he delves deeper into the world of property law and tenant rights, a name flashes across the screen: Tyler Jenkins, a local attorney known for his fierce advocacy for the underdog. Samuel remembers the man from years ago, a friend of Lisa's who had helped them navigate some of their own legal troubles. He hesitates for a moment, uncertainty creeping in. Would Tyler still remember him? Would he be willing to help? But the thought of Marcus's betrayal fuels his determination, and he decides to reach out. He drafts an email, explaining his situation, detailing the betrayal he has faced. As he hits send, a wave of anxiety washes over him. What if Tyler is unavailable? What if he's forgotten the man he once knew? Samuel shakes his head, clearing those thoughts. He cannot afford to dwell on doubt. He must stay focused, channeling his energy into action. Minutes stretch into an hour, with Samuel alternating between researching and glancing at his phone, waiting for a reply. In the quiet of his home, the world outside seems to fade away, and all that remains is his resolve. He can almost hear the whispers of the past, the laughter of family gatherings, the warmth of shared meals, the pride he felt as he watched Marcus grow. Each memory is a reminder of what he stands to lose if he doesn't act now. The phone buzzes again, this time more insistent. Samuel's heart races as he sees a response from Tyler. "Samuel, it's been a while. I'm so sorry to hear about your situation. Let's arrange a time to meet. I might be able to help." Relief floods through him, mingling with a newfound sense of urgency. This is the lifeline he needs. Samuel quickly replies, suggesting a time to meet at a nearby cafe, a place filled with the echoes of laughter and conversations, where he once shared dreams with Lisa. After sending the message, he stands and moves to the window, looking out at the city. The sky is beginning to clear, sunlight piercing through the lingering clouds, casting a golden hue over the streets. It feels symbolic, a sign that perhaps his own storm is passing. He glances over his shoulder at the eviction notice still pinned to the wall. It may be a dark chapter in his life, but it's not the end. With each passing moment, he feels the fire inside him grow stronger, stoked by the realization that he is not alone. There are people out there who believe in justice, who will help him reclaim what is rightfully his. Perhaps he can turn this betrayal into a lesson for Marcus, a chance for redemption not just for himself, but for his son as well. "Marcus," he whispers, the name tasting bitter on his lips. The boy he once adored, his golden child, now stands as a symbol of everything that has gone wrong. But Samuel won't let that define him. He will show Marcus the repercussions of his actions, teach him the value of integrity, and perhaps in doing so, remind him of the love that once bound them together. The sunlight shifts as the clouds continue to disperse, illuminating the living room with a warm glow. Samuel takes a deep breath, feeling the air fill his lungs, invigorating him with hope. The shadows of despair that once clouded his heart begin to lift, replaced by a sense of purpose. He starts to gather his thoughts, drafting a mental outline of what he will say to Tyler. The attorney will need to understand the full extent of Marcus's betrayal, the depth of his desperation. Suddenly, the front door creaks open, and Samuel's heart skips a beat. He quickly turns, instinctively bracing himself for a confrontation. It's Marcus, stepping inside with a casual air that feels like a slap in the face. The young man's confidence radiates from him, but Samuel sees through the facade. Behind that bravado lies a vulnerability he knows all too well. "Dad, we need to talk," Marcus says, his tone casual but laced with an undercurrent of tension. Samuel clenches his fists, a mixture of anger and disappointment surging within him. "What do you want?" Samuel replies, keeping his voice steady, though he can feel the heat rising in his cheeks. "You've already taken enough from me." Marcus rolls his eyes, a gesture of dismissal that stirs the anger boiling in Samuel's gut. "I'm just trying to explain. You don't understand what's going on." "Oh, I understand perfectly," Samuel counters, stepping closer, the distance between them charged with unspoken emotions. "You and that real estate agent have conspired against me, Marcus. You've betrayed your own father." "Betrayed?" Marcus snaps, his voice rising. "You don't get it. This house is a money pit. It's dragging us down. I'm trying to do what's best for both of us." Samuel feels his heart race at his son's words. "What's best for us? Or what's best for you? You're willing to sell out your own family for a quick buck." "Don't make this about family," Marcus retorts, frustration lacing his voice. "You've been stuck in this place for years. It's time to move on." "Move on," Samuel echoes, incredulity washing over him. "You think I want to abandon everything I've built? This house is more than just bricks and mortar. It's our history." In that moment, Samuel sees the boy he once knew, lost, desperate, and clinging to a misguided sense of purpose. But there's no time for nostalgia now. He's done being a passive participant in this twisted game. He needs to pivot this conversation to take control and assert his authority. "Marcus," he says, his voice steadying, "you need to understand the consequences of your actions. I won't let you destroy what we have left. There's still a chance to fix this." The tension in the room crackles like the remnants of the storm outside, each word hanging in the air, heavy with unspoken fears and regrets. Samuel stands resolute, no longer the victim but the man he used to be, determined and unyielding. Marcus's eyes narrow, and for a fleeting moment, Samuel sees a flicker of uncertainty in his son's gaze. It's a crack in the facade, a glimpse of the boy who once looked up to him with admiration. But just as quickly, it's gone, replaced by a hardening resolve. "Whatever you think you're doing, Dad, just know this. You're fighting a losing battle," Marcus says, his voice tinged with a hint of menace. "I'll do whatever it takes to get what I want." With that, he turns on his heel and strides out the door, leaving Samuel standing in the living room, breathless. The door slams behind him, echoing like a gunshot in the silence that follows. Samuel's heart races, not with fear, but with an electrifying sense of purpose. He knows now that the battle lines have been drawn. He looks down at the eviction notice, the words still stark and unforgiving. But in that moment, it transforms from a symbol of defeat into a rallying cry. Samuel Carter is no longer a passive victim. He is a man on a mission, ready to reclaim his life, his home, and perhaps, just perhaps, his son's soul along the way. Outside, the sun breaks through the clouds, bathing the city in golden light, promising hope amidst the chaos. Samuel straightens his back, feeling the weight of determination settle over him like a shield. He will not falter. He will not back down. He will fight for himself, for his home, and for the love that still flickers in the shadow of betrayal. And with that thought, he turns back to his laptop, ready to forge a new path forward. The rain had finally ceased, but thick clouds still loomed overhead, casting a gray pallor over the modest home Samuel Carter had cherished for decades. The air felt heavy, saturated with the scent of wet earth and impending change. Samuel stood in the living room, staring out the window, contemplating the chaos of his life, while the remnants of the storm clung to his thoughts like the dark shadows creeping into every corner of his heart. He could still hear Marcus's voice, sharp and dismissive, echoing in his ears. "This house is just a burden, Dad. You need to see that." The words had cut deeper than any storm could, and Samuel felt a surge of anger rising within him, a wildfire ignited by betrayal. How could his son, his once beloved golden child, turn against him so completely? The boy he raised, who once looked to him for guidance and strength, now stood as a stranger, a figure cloaked in desperation and greed. As he turned away from the window, Samuel's gaze fell on the eviction notice, its edges worn from his restless hands. The paper felt like a weight pressing down on his chest, a tangible reminder of the fracture in his family. He picked it up, his fingers trembling as he read the words again, though they offered no new revelations. "You have 30 days to vacate the premises," it stated bluntly, as if the coldness of the text could somehow erase the life they had built together. But Samuel refused to let despair consume him. He took a deep breath, the chill of the room biting at his skin, and reached for his phone. With a few taps, he pulled up Tyler Jenkins's contact information, his old friend from college who had once been a beacon of support. Tyler had always been there for him through thick and thin, and Samuel needed that steadfastness now. Come on," he murmured, pacing the floor as he waited for the call to connect. The silence felt deafening, a stark contrast to the tempest outside. Finally, the line clicked, and Tyler's voice came through, warm and familiar. "Samuel, it's been too long. What's going on?" Samuel's heart raced as he poured out his story, the words tumbling from his lips like the rain that had just subsided. He recounted the eviction notice, the confrontation with Marcus, the betrayal that left him feeling hollow. Throughout his recounting, Tyler listened patiently, his tone shifting from casual to serious as Samuel unveiled the depths of his turmoil. "Samuel, this is serious. You need to gather your documents, proof of ownership, any correspondence regarding the eviction. I can help you fight this, but we need to act fast," Tyler urged, his voice taking on a sense of urgency. "Thank you, Tyler. I appreciate. Don't thank me yet. Get your things together and meet me at my office. We'll strategize," Tyler interrupted, his tone firm but reassuring. The call ended, leaving Samuel both buoyed and apprehensive. He had always admired Tyler's tenacity, but the thought of facing Marcus again loomed over him like a dark cloud, threatening to rain on the fragile resolve he was building. Samuel turned to the cluttered desk in the corner of the living room, where the remnants of his life lay scattered: old bills, photographs of happier times, and the fading memories of laughter that once filled this space. He took a moment to breathe, to center himself, and then began to sift through the documents, each piece of paper a testament to his struggle. As he pieced together the evidence of his rightful ownership, the memories surged within him. Marcus's first steps, the school plays, the late-night conversations about dreams and aspirations. Each recollection felt like a knife twisting in his gut, a reminder of what was at stake. As the afternoon sun struggled to pierce through the clouds, Samuel found a fragile glimmer of hope. He would not go down without a fight. This was more than just a house. It was a sanctuary of memories, a symbol of the love he had poured into his family. No longer would he allow Marcus to strip him of that legacy. An hour later, with a folder filled with papers clutched tightly in his hand, Samuel stepped out into the cool air. The world outside felt different, as if the storm had washed away more than just rain. It had cleared a path for new beginnings. He walked with purpose toward his car, each step echoing the resolve that had taken root in his heart. The drive to Tyler's office was a blur, the city streets passing by like a montage of memories and regrets. Samuel's mind raced, contemplating the next steps. He envisioned the confrontation with Marcus, the inevitable clash of wills that would come. Would his son understand the gravity of his actions, the pain he had caused? Or had the greed consumed him entirely, blinding him to the love they had shared? Arriving at the office, Samuel took a moment to gather himself before stepping inside. The faint scent of coffee greeted him as he entered, a comforting reminder of past meetings with Tyler. The walls were lined with books, their spines filled with legal jargon, each one a testament to battles fought and won. "Samuel, right on time," Tyler greeted, his smile warm and genuine as he gestured for Samuel to take a seat. The office was small but inviting, with light filtering in through the windows, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the air. "Thanks for meeting me," Samuel said, settling into the chair while placing the folder on the desk. Tyler wasted no time, flipping through the documents with practiced ease. "Let's see what we're dealing with," he murmured, his brow furrowing as he scanned the eviction notice. "This is a shoddy move on Marcus's part. There are laws in place that protect you, especially since you've lived here for so long." Samuel nodded, his heart racing at the prospect of taking back control. "I just don't understand how he could do this. I always thought we had a solid bond." Tyler looked up, his expression shifting to one of concern. "It's common for family dynamics to shift when money is involved. People can become desperate, and desperation leads to poor choices. I never thought my son would be one of those people," Samuel replied, his voice thick with emotion. "I raised him to be better than this. Sometimes, the pressure can change people," Tyler said softly, his eyes meeting Samuel's. "But you're not alone in this fight. We'll make sure he understands the consequences of his actions." As Tyler laid out a strategy, Samuel listened intently, his resolve solidifying with each passing moment. They discussed potential legal actions, the timeline of events, and the importance of gathering evidence. Samuel felt a renewed sense of purpose as they crafted a plan to confront Marcus, to show him that he could not simply walk away from the family he had betrayed. Yet, even as hope flickered within him, a shadow loomed over Samuel's heart, the fear of losing his son entirely. What if this fight drove a wedge deeper between them? What if Marcus never understood? The questions gnawed at him, but he pushed them aside, focusing instead on the path ahead. As the meeting came to a close, Samuel stood, a mix of determination and apprehension coursing through him. "Thank you, Tyler. I really appreciate your support. Just remember, you're not fighting alone," Tyler said, giving him a reassuring pat on the shoulder. "You have a solid case, and I'll be with you every step of the way." With a nod, Samuel stepped back out into the world, feeling the weight of the eviction notice lift ever so slightly. The storm clouds had begun to dissipate, revealing a hesitant sun that peered through the remnants of the tumultuous sky. Samuel took a deep breath, feeling the warmth on his skin, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, light could break through. As he drove home, determination surged within him. The fight was far from over, but he was ready to reclaim his life, his home, and perhaps, in the process, save the relationship with the son he had once known. The time for action had come, and Samuel Carter would not shy away from the storm that lay ahead. He would face it head-on, fueled by the love that still resided in his heart, even amidst the chaos. Samuel stands in the dim light of his modest living room, the storm outside roaring like an angry beast. The wind howls through the cracks in the old windows, rattling the frames and adding to the cacophony of his thoughts. He clutches the phone in his hand, the screen still glowing with Lisa's text, "Run, they know." The words echo in his mind, a haunting reminder of the precariousness of his situation. He glances at the eviction notice pinned to the corkboard, a stark white sheet against the faded colors of the room, a cruel twist of fate that has turned his sanctuary into a battleground. Each word is a dagger, piercing his resolve and igniting a fire deep within him. Samuel inhales sharply, letting the weight of his despair mingle with the rising tide of determination. "Think, Samuel," he mutters to himself, pacing the worn carpet that has seen better days. The fibers underfoot are frayed like the edges of his sanity, but they ground him, reminding him of his roots. The living room, cluttered with remnants of a life once vibrant, now feels like a mausoleum for lost dreams. Family photos hang on the walls, capturing fleeting moments of joy, now overshadowed by the betrayal of his only son. He needs a plan. The uncertainty gnaws at him like a hungry wolf, circling, waiting for the right moment to strike. Samuel knows Marcus is ambitious, a trait once admired, now twisted into something sinister. Greed is a powerful motivator, and as much as he wants to believe that familial bonds can withstand the trials of life, this betrayal has shattered his faith. His thoughts turn to Tyler Jenkins, an old friend from his years in the city's bustling legal sphere. They had shared laughter over beers and the burden of unfulfilled dreams. Tyler had been one of the few to remain in Samuel's life after Lisa left, a faithful companion through thick and thin. Samuel had always respected Tyler's keen mind and relentless spirit, qualities he now needs more than ever. With a sudden burst of resolve, he grabs his jacket from the back of the chair and heads for the door. The storm outside has intensified, rain slashing against the pavement in a furious dance. He hesitates, looking back at the house for what feels like the last time. The walls seem to whisper secrets, memories of a happier time. Yet he knows he cannot linger in nostalgia. "Time to fight," he says, steeling himself against the elements. The street is slick with rain, reflecting the muted glow of streetlights like shattered glass. Samuel navigates the puddles, his mind racing through the potential consequences of confronting Marcus. He can almost hear his son's voice, smooth and persuasive, as he speaks to the real estate agent, weaving a web of deception that Samuel had once trusted. The walk to Tyler's office is brisk, each step a reminder of the urgency of his situation. The wind bites at his face, a cold slap that pulls him further into the present moment. Samuel's heart pounds in his chest, a rhythm of defiance against the despair that has threatened to consume him. He recalls the long nights spent discussing dreams over takeout, the camaraderie that had once felt unbreakable. As he reaches the foot of Tyler's building, the rain begins to ease, the clouds parting slightly to reveal a sliver of moonlight. Samuel pushes through the glass door, the warm air enveloping him like an embrace. The familiar scent of coffee and polished wood fills his senses, grounding him in a place of purpose. "Samuel, it's been a while." Tyler's voice booms across the small reception area, his broad smile lighting up the space. He rises from behind his desk, a flurry of energy that contrasts with Samuel's somber demeanor. "Tyler," Samuel replies, forcing a smile as he approaches. "I need your help." Tyler's expression shifts, the joviality replaced with concern. "What's going on? You look like you've seen a ghost." "It's Marcus. He's done something terrible," Samuel confesses, the words tumbling from his lips like a dam bursting. "He's selling the house without my consent. I received an eviction notice this morning." Tyler's brow furrows, his fingers steepling as he leans back in his chair. "That's serious. Have you spoken to him?" "I can't," Samuel admits, the weight of his son's betrayal crashing down on him again. "I don't even know if I can trust him anymore. I need to know what my options are." "Let's take a look," Tyler states, his voice steady. He gestures for Samuel to sit. "We'll figure this out together." Samuel sinks into the chair, feeling the tension in his shoulders begin to ease, if only slightly. He watches as Tyler opens a drawer and pulls out a stack of papers. Leases, contracts, and legal jargon that feels foreign yet familiar. Samuel's heart races again, but this time with a flicker of hope. "First things first," Tyler begins, sorting through the documents. "We need to establish your rights as the homeowner. If Marcus sold the house without your knowledge or consent, that could open up a whole can of legal worms." Samuel nods, trying to absorb the information. "He's always been the golden child," he murmurs. "I never thought he'd betray me like this." Tyler looks up, his gaze piercing. "People change, Sam. Sometimes they reveal their true selves in the most unexpected ways. You need to prepare for the worst." The words hang in the air, heavy and foreboding. Samuel's mind flashes back to moments of laughter shared with Marcus, the afternoon spent teaching him to ride a bike, the pride swelling in his chest at his son's accomplishments. How could the boy he once knew morph into a stranger so quickly? After a few moments of silence, Tyler shuffles through the papers again, his demeanor shifting to something more businesslike. "Let's draft a response to that eviction notice. We can also gather evidence of your ownership and the circumstances under which Marcus acted." Samuel swallows hard, the reality of his situation crashing down once more. "I can't let him take this away from me, Tyler. This house is all I have left of our family." Tyler's gaze softens, empathy shining through his professional facade. "I understand. We'll get through this together. But you need to be ready for any confrontation. He may not take kindly to your fight." The thought sends a chill down Samuel's spine, but he nods, determination rekindling within him. "I'm ready. I won't go down without a fight." With renewed purpose, Samuel begins to detail the events leading up to this moment. The conversations, the secrets, the feelings of betrayal. Each word feels like a step toward reclaiming his agency, piecing together a narrative that can stand against the storm brewing both inside and outside. As the rain begins to fall gently again, Samuel knows this is just the beginning. He has a long road ahead, but for the first time since receiving that text from Lisa, he feels the spark of hope. It begins to flicker in the depths of his heart, igniting a fire that cannot be easily extinguished. "Let's do this," he says, his voice steady, his resolve unyielding. Samuel is ready to confront the tempest, both in his heart and in his life. The battle for his home, and for the love of a son he hopes to reclaim, has just begun. The rain had finally retreated, leaving the air crisp with a lingering scent of damp earth and fallen leaves. Samuel stood at the window, his gaze fixed on the street below, where puddles reflected the dim glow of streetlights. The world outside seemed deceptively calm, but inside his chest, a storm still brewed, a tempest of anger and heartache fueled by the betrayal of his son. He turned away, the eviction notice crumpled in his hand like a forgotten promise. The words danced in his mind, each syllable echoing the loss he felt. This was more than just a piece of paper. It was a severing of the bond he had cherished for decades. Samuel's heart thudded heavily in his chest, a reminder of the weight of his despair. But with each pulse came a flicker of defiance. The text from Lisa replayed in his mind. "Run, they know." It was a warning, yes, but it had ignited something within him, a spark he didn't know he still possessed. "Think, Samuel," he murmured, pacing the small confines of his living room. The walls, once a sanctuary filled with laughter and memories, now felt like a prison, closing in on him. He needed a plan, a way to counter Marcus's betrayal, and he needed it fast. Every moment he lingered in indecision served as an invitation for the chaos to further invade his life. His phone buzzed on the worn coffee table, vibrating against the surface. He rushed over, hope surging in his chest. It was Tyler, his old friend, a beacon of support in this unfolding nightmare. Samuel's fingers trembled as he swiped the screen to answer. "Tyler," he breathed, relief washing over him. "I need your help." "Of course, Sam. I'm here for you. What's going on?" Tyler's voice crackled through the speaker, steady and reassuring, like the first rays of sunlight breaking through a storm. "It's Marcus. He's trying to sell the house out from under me. I have this eviction notice, and I don't know what to do." The words tumbled out, each one a confession of his vulnerability. "Let's meet," Tyler suggested, his tone shifting to business. "I'll bring the documents we need. We can go through your options together." Samuel nodded, though Tyler couldn't see him. "Thank you. I'll be waiting." As he hung up, a surge of determination coursed through him. He had a path forward, however uncertain it might be. He glanced around his modest living room, each piece of furniture a relic of his past. His late wife's favorite chair, the bookshelf crammed with well-thumbed novels, the faded rug that had cradled countless family celebrations. He couldn't let it all slip away so easily. With the storm now a distant memory, Samuel grabbed his jacket and stepped outside. The air was brisk, invigorating, and as he walked, he could feel the weight of uncertainty lifting, if only slightly. He made his way to the nearby cafe where he and Tyler had shared countless cups of coffee over the years, finding solace in each other's presence. The cafe was bustling, filled with the chatter of patrons and the comforting aroma of freshly brewed coffee. Samuel settled into a corner table, his heart racing with anticipation. He scanned the room, searching for Tyler, when he spotted him crossing the threshold, a folder tucked neatly under his arm. "Hey, Sam," Tyler greeted, sliding into the seat across from him. "Let's get to work." With a determined nod, Samuel leaned forward, the urgency of their situation igniting a fire in his belly. "I need to know how to fight this eviction. I can't lose my home." Tyler opened the folder, revealing a series of documents. "First, we need to look at the eviction notice closely. There might be loopholes we can exploit." He began explaining legal terms and conditions, but Samuel's mind drifted, his thoughts tangled in memories of Marcus, the boy who had once looked at him with such admiration, the child he had raised with love and sacrifice. As Tyler spoke, Samuel couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal that clung to him like an unwelcome shadow. What could have driven him to do this? He thought aloud, his voice barely above a whisper. "Desperation can make people do terrible things," Tyler replied, his eyes narrowing thoughtfully. "But you can't let his choices dictate your future." Focus on what you can control. Samuel nodded, absorbing Tyler's words. They discussed the legal implications, the potential for a counterclaim, and the emotional toll it would take on both father and son. Each option felt like a step closer to reclaiming his life, but the thought of facing Marcus sent a shiver down his spine. Do you have any evidence of the collusion between Marcus and the real estate agent? Tyler asked, his brow furrowing. Samuel hesitated, his heart heavy with shame. I found some messages on his phone. I think he's been planning this for a while. Good. That could be our leverage. Tyler's eyes lit up. We need to gather as much information as possible. If he's intentionally trying to evict you, we can make a case for emotional distress. Samuel's heart raced at the prospect of fighting back. For too long, he had felt like a victim in his own life. This was his chance to reclaim his narrative, to stand against the tide of betrayal that threatened to drown him. What do I need to do? Start by documenting everything, Tyler instructed, his voice steady. Every conversation, every text, will build a case together. As they delved deeper into the strategy, Samuel felt a sense of clarity emerging. The path ahead was fraught with challenges, yet his resolve hardened with each passing moment. He remembered the warmth of Lisa's text, the urgency behind it. It was a reminder that he wasn't alone in this fight. After hours of discussion and planning, Samuel stepped back into the cool evening air, the weight of the world still heavy on his shoulders, but now infused with a sense of purpose. He would not let Marcus's greed dictate his fate. He would reclaim his home, his dignity, and ultimately, his relationship with his son. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the city streets. Samuel walked home, each step fueled by a newfound determination. He could no longer afford to be passive, to let the tide of betrayal wash over him unchallenged. He was ready to confront Marcus, to face the son he had once cherished, but now saw as a stranger. As he approached the door to his home, Samuel paused, the familiar threshold looming before him. This was more than just a physical space. It was a testament to his life, a canvas painted with the joys and sorrows of his past. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for what lay ahead. With a resolve forged in the fires of betrayal, Samuel pushed the door open, stepping into the sanctuary that was still his, for now. The air felt different, charged with possibility. He knew the road would be long and filled with uncertainty, but he was ready to fight, not just for his home, but for the bond he hoped to restore with his son. Marcus, he whispered to himself, eyes narrowing with determination. You might have chosen betrayal, but I choose to fight. The storm within him was quieting, transforming into a fierce resolve that would carry him through the darkness ahead. And for the first time in a long while, Samuel felt the stirrings of hope, a fragile yet unwavering light guiding him forward. The storm outside rages on, thick sheets of rain battering the windows with a relentless ferocity, while thunder rumbles like a warning bell in the distance. The air inside Samuel's modest living room is heavy with the scent of damp wood, the unmistakable odor of mildew creeping into the corners of the room. He stands at the small kitchen counter, the eviction notice crumpled in his hand like a bad memory he can't quite shake. The stark white paper feels like a weight pressing down on his chest, a reminder of his impending doom. Tyler, his loyal friend and lawyer, is rummaging through a box of old legal files, searching for any documentation that might help their case against Marcus. Samuel, look at this, Tyler calls out, his voice cutting through the heavy silence. He pulls a faded envelope from the depths of the box, its yellowed edges hinting at the passage of time. This could be useful. He opens it, revealing a letter from a lawyer who once represented Samuel in a different time. A time filled with hope when he believed in building a future instead of fighting to hold onto what little he had left. Samuel steps over, feeling the weight of his years pressing against him like a physical force. He squints at the document, his heart racing as he anticipates the contents. hoping for a glimmer of hope amidst his despair. What does it say? His voice is thick, filled with uncertainty as he braces himself for Tyler's response. It outlines your rights as a homeowner, Tyler explains, scanning the document with a furrowed brow. You might have more leverage than you think. This letter proves that you were never formally served an eviction notice. They can't just throw you out like this. A flicker of hope ignites within Samuel, warming the cold corners of his heart. So, you think we can challenge this? His voice rises with cautious optimism, as if he's testing the waters to see if this newfound determination is real. Tyler nods, his brow furrowing in concentration as he leans over the table, his fingers tapping against the wood as if formulating a strategy. We can definitely fight it, but we need to gather evidence. Do you have anything? Emails? Texts? Anything that shows Marcus was planning this behind your back? Samuel's thoughts drift to the text Lisa sent him, the lifeline that pulled him back from the brink of despair. I have a text from Lisa. She warned me about Marcus's intentions. He retrieves his phone from the pocket of his worn jeans, fingers trembling slightly as he scrolls to the message. A stark reminder of the betrayal that now loomed over him like a dark cloud. Perfect. That shows you were aware of something shady going on, Tyler says, taking a seat at the table and setting the letter down with purpose. We'll need to present this to the court. If Marcus was indeed planning to sell the house without your consent, it significantly weakens his position. As Samuel recounts the details of the text, anger and sadness swell within him, a tumultuous mix that is almost unbearable. How could Marcus do this to him? The golden child turned renegade, all driven by a desperation he couldn't fully comprehend. He recalls countless hours spent teaching Marcus to ride a bike, the joy in his son's eyes as he finally pedaled without training wheels, the pride that had swelled in his heart. He remembers cheering him on at every soccer game, feeling like the world had opened up in those moments, and the warmth of family dinners that now seem like distant memories, each laugh and shared story drifting further away like mist in the morning sun. The storm outside mirrors his turmoil, the winds howling like the ghosts of their shared past, clawing at the windows as if trying to break through the very walls that once held them together. Samuel, Tyler's voice snaps him back to the present, a lifeline in the swirling chaos of his mind. We need to focus. How do you want to handle this when you confront him again? Just the thought of facing Marcus sends a shiver down Samuel's spine. He can picture his son's face, a mix of defiance and guilt, the cocky smile that once lit up his world now twisted into something unrecognizable. I need to make him understand, he says, his voice steadier now, infused with a newfound determination. I want him to see how this affects us, not just the house. This is about family. Then let's formulate a plan, Tyler suggests, leaning forward, elbows resting on the table as if bracing himself for the emotional weight of the confrontation ahead. You can confront him, but I advise you to do it when you're calm. Emotions are running high, and you don't want to say something you'll regret. Samuel nods, though doubt lingers like the storm clouds outside. I'll try, he mutters, the word feeling heavy on his tongue, a promise cloaked in uncertainty. As the two men strategize, the storm begins to taper, the rain easing into a soft patter against the windows, a gentle reminder that even the fiercest storms must eventually yield to calm. Samuel's thoughts drift again, this time to the day he and Marcus moved into this house. The walls had been bare, the floors dusty, but they had filled it with laughter, love, and dreams of a future that now felt like sand slipping through his fingers. Samuel, Tyler interrupts his reverie once more. What about the real estate agent? Do you have any correspondence with her? Just a few emails, Samuel replies, his mind racing. I never trusted her. Something felt off from the start. He can almost picture her, the way her smile had seemed rehearsed, her eyes darting around as if she were hiding something vital behind her professional facade. Let's dig those up, If she's involved in Marcus's scheme, we can use that to our advantage, Tyler says, his tone resolute, the fire of determination igniting in his eyes. As they continue to discuss their approach, Samuel can't shake the feeling that time is running out. He knows Marcus is consumed by something darker than mere greed, but what it is remains shrouded in uncertainty. Desperation can drive people to do unspeakable things, and the thought gnaws at him like a hungry wolf, relentless and unyielding. "I'll take a look through my emails tonight," he says, determination creeping back into his voice. "I'll find something." "Good," Tyler replies, standing up and gathering his papers. "I'll handle the legal stuff on my end. We can regroup tomorrow." As Tyler leaves, Samuel finds himself alone in the quiet aftermath of the storm, the house now feeling like a fragile shell, holding together the remnants of his shattered life. He glances around, taking in the faded photographs on the walls, memories of a time when hope felt tangible, not just a flickering flame in the darkness. Pictures of family vacations, birthday parties, and holiday gatherings stare back at him, each one a testament to the love that once bound them together tightly. He sinks into the old armchair, its cushion familiar yet uncomfortable, and stares out the window. The storm has passed, but the streets outside remain slick and glistening, reflecting the waning light of the evening sky. He watches as raindrops race down the glass, each one a reminder of time slipping away, the seconds of his life dwindling as he grapples with the impending confrontation with his son. "Marcus," he thinks, his heart heavy. "What happened to you? How did we get here?" He picks up his phone again, scrolling through Lisa's message. The words are a lifeline, a warning, and a reminder that he is not entirely alone. He takes a deep breath, letting the cool air fill his lungs, and resolves to reach out to her. With trembling fingers, he types a message. "Lisa, I need to talk. It's about Marcus. Can we meet?" After hitting send, he stares at the screen, anxiety creeping in. What will she say? Will she understand the depth of the betrayal? The unpredictability of their relationship lingers in his mind like a thick fog. Minutes feel like hours as he waits for a reply, the silence stretching into an unbearable wait, each tick of the clock amplifying his growing unease. Just as doubt begins to creep in, his phone buzzes, startling him. "Of course, Samuel. Let's meet at the cafe on 5th tomorrow morning. I'll be there." A sense of relief washes over him, yet the storm within remains unresolved. He knows that confronting Marcus will be a battle, not just for the house, but for their relationship, for the future that now feels precariously balanced on the edge of a knife. As he stands, looking around at the walls that once felt like a sanctuary, Samuel's resolve hardens. He will not let his son's actions define their family's legacy. Tomorrow he will fight, not just for the house, but for the bond that once felt unbreakable, the very connection that made him whole. With the rain now a gentle murmur outside, he prepares for the confrontation ahead, steeling himself against the storm that is sure to come. Each heartbeat echoes in his chest, a reminder that the battle is not just for survival but for love, understanding, and ultimately, redemption. The storm outside rages, pouring thick sheets of rain against the windows, each drop a reminder of the turmoil brewing within Samuel's heart. He sits on the edge of his worn-out couch, staring at his phone like it might offer more than just a lifeline. It feels like a beacon. The text from Lisa, cryptic yet piercing, echoes in his mind. "Run, they know. They know what exactly." The unease sits heavy in his gut, twisting and turning like a storm-tossed sea. Samuel takes a deep breath, trying to steady the tremor in his hands. He knows he cannot wait any longer. The eviction notice looms like a dark cloud over his head, and the thought of Marcus's betrayal twists the knife deeper into his chest. He had devoted his life to raising that boy, nurturing dreams, sacrificing his own ambitions for Marcus's bright future. And now, here they are, on opposite sides of a chasm carved out by deceit and desperation. The rain intensifies, drumming a frantic rhythm against the roof. Samuel stands up, the wood creaking beneath his feet as he moves toward the window. He parts the heavy, faded curtains and peers outside. The street is nearly deserted, drenched in shadows, illuminated only by occasional flashes of lightning that illuminate the scene like a theater spotlight. It feels surreal, as if the storm is a physical manifestation of his inner chaos. He knows he must act. Drawing on the memories of the life he built, Samuel recalls Tyler Jenkins, an attorney and a friend from days long past, one who had once offered him guidance through personal trials. Their shared history is a thread that connects Samuel to his past and perhaps to a future he can reclaim. He grabs his phone, hesitating for a moment as he scrolls through his contacts. There it is, buried amidst the old names. Tyler. With a deep breath, he taps the call button. The phone rings, the sound echoing in the quiet of the living room. Each ring feels like a countdown, the tension tightening around him. Finally, Tyler's voice breaks through the static, deep and familiar. "Samuel? It's been a while." "Tyler," Samuel replies, his voice hoarse with emotion. "I need your help." "What's going on?" Tyler's tone shifts, concern threading through his words. "It's Marcus," Samuel begins, the words tumbling out in a rush. "He's trying to sell the house without my consent. I received an eviction notice today. I think he's involved in something dangerous, something bigger than me." There's a pause on the other end, a moment of silence that stretches like the distance between them. "Are you safe? Where are you now?" "I'm at home," Samuel replies, glancing around the dimly lit room, the shadows deepening as the storm rages on. "But I don't know how long I'll be able to stay here." "Listen," Tyler says, his voice firm yet soothing. "I'll come by. We'll figure this out together. Just stay put." The call ends, and Samuel feels a flicker of hope ignite within him, a small flame against the tempest that is his current existence. He glances at the eviction notice lying on the coffee table, the bold letters stark against the worn wood. This letter is not just a piece of paper. It's a declaration of war, a challenge thrown down by the very person he once cherished above all others. As he paces the room, Samuel reflects on the warmth of the past, the laughter shared over family dinners, the joy of summer vacations spent at the lake, and the quiet moments that solidified their bond. How had they come to this? How had Marcus, his golden child, turned into the architect of his despair? A thunderclap shakes the room, and Samuel's thoughts spiral into darker territories. He remembers the times he neglected his own needs, pouring everything into Marcus's education, his dreams. Had he been too blind to see the cracks forming beneath the surface? The signs of discontent that might have hinted at a deeper resentment? The thought stabs at him, sharp and painful. The doorbell rings, and Samuel's heart nearly leaps out of his chest. He glances at the clock. Only a few minutes have passed since he hung up with Tyler. With cautious steps, he opens the door, revealing his friend standing there, drenched from the rain but resolute. Tyler's presence is a comforting balm in the storm. "Samuel," he says, stepping inside and shaking off the rain like a dog. "Let's get to work." They settle into the living room, Samuel pouring coffee into mismatched mugs, the aroma filling the air and grounding him in the moment. Tyler's eyes scan the room, taking in the fading photographs on the walls, the remnants of happier times. "I can't believe Marcus would do this to you," he says, shaking his head. "Neither can I," Samuel replies, his voice thick with regret. "But I have to confront him. I can't let him take everything from me." "Do you have any idea what's driving him?" Tyler asks, leaning forward, his brow furrowing with concern. "Not really. He's been distant for years, but I thought that was just typical teenage rebellion. I never imagined it would lead to this," Samuel admits, the weight of his words crashing down upon him. "Sometimes The people we love the most can surprise us in the worst ways, Tyler says softly. But you're not alone in this. We'll find a way to protect your home, and we'll figure out what's really going on. As they strategize, the storm outside begins to ease, the rain transitioning to a light drizzle, as if the sky itself is taking a breath. Samuel feels the tension in his shoulders start to ease, if only slightly. They outline a plan, gathering evidence and preparing for the confrontation that looms ahead. Tyler's presence bolsters Samuel's resolve, reminding him that he is not merely a passive player in this unfolding drama. Hours pass, and Samuel's heart races with a mix of anticipation and dread. The house feels different now, transformed by their conversation. It is no longer just a space filled with memories. It is a battleground, a place where he will reclaim his dignity and confront the betrayal that has shattered his world. As the evening creeps in, the storm has finally subsided, leaving behind a glistening sheen on the pavement outside. Samuel stands at the window once more, staring into the distance where the city lights twinkle like stars. He feels a renewed sense of purpose coursing through him, a flicker of the man he used to be, strong, determined, and unyielding. "Samuel," Tyler calls, pulling him from his thoughts. "We should probably head out soon. There's no telling how Marcus will react." Samuel nods, steeling himself for the inevitable confrontation. The thought of facing Marcus fills him with a dread that is both familiar and foreign. This isn't just about the house anymore. It's about their relationship, their shared history, and the love that had once flourished between them. As they step outside, the air is crisp, and the remnants of the storm linger, casting a sense of renewal over the city. Samuel feels the weight of the world on his shoulders, but for the first time in a long while, he also feels a flicker of hope. He is ready to fight for his home, for his dignity, and perhaps for the chance to mend the rift between father and son. As they drive through the rain-slicked streets, the city unfolds before him, a maze of memories and lost opportunities. Samuel grips the steering wheel tightly, determination etched across his face. Tonight, he will confront the storm that has been brewing within his family, and no matter the outcome, he will stand firm. The road ahead is uncertain, but Samuel knows one thing for sure: he will not run. He will face whatever is waiting for him with the courage and resilience he has summoned from the depths of his heart. The time for hiding is over. It's time to reclaim his life. The storm outside rages with a primal ferocity, wind howling like a wild animal, the rain slashing against the windows in thick sheets that threaten to shatter the glass. Inside Samuel's modest living room, the atmosphere is equally charged, heavy with unspoken words and the weight of betrayal. Samuel stands at the threshold of his own despair, a man caught between the remnants of his past and the uncertain shadows of the future. He glances at the small clock on the wall, its ticking now a reminder of the time slipping away from him. Each second feels like a heartbeat, echoing in his chest as he rehearses the confrontation with Marcus. The thought of his son, once the golden child of his dreams, now a figure shrouded in darkness, sends a shiver down Samuel's spine. What had gone wrong? Where had they faltered in their bond? Run, they know. The text from Lisa reverberates in his mind, a haunting refrain mingling with the thunder outside. She had always had a knack for seeing through the fog of chaos, piercing directly to the heart of the matter. But what exactly did she mean? Did she sense something more sinister at play? He swallows hard, drawing in a breath that tastes of rain and regret. Samuel knows he must confront Marcus, yet the weight of their shared history presses heavily against his resolve. The memories flood back: Marcus's laughter as a child, the way he'd run into Samuel's arms after every scraped knee, their shared dreams of a brighter future. Now that future feels like a distant echo, distorted by betrayal and greed. As he waits, his phone buzzes on the table, pulling him from his reverie. His fingers tremble slightly as he picks it up, hoping for a message from Tyler. Instead, It's a notification from the news app. Another story about housing crises. Families evicted, dreams shattered. Samuel's heart sinks further. He scrolls through the headlines, each one a dagger to his already bleeding spirit. His home, the place where he had poured his love and labor, is now just another statistic in a city drowning in despair. He sets the phone down and moves to the window, peering through the rain-soaked glass. The streets are slick and glistening, reflecting the chaos of the storm above. He sees the silhouettes of figures huddled under awnings, braving the elements, and he wonders if they too are grappling with their own storms. Samuel feels a kinship with them, a shared burden of existential dread. The violent crack of thunder jolts him, and he steps back, crossing his arms over his chest as if trying to shield himself from the tempest. Could he muster the courage to face Marcus? A part of him wants to hide, to retreat into the safety of his memories, but a stronger voice rises within him, urging him to stand firm. This is his home, his life, and he will not let it slip away without a fight. Suddenly, the front door bursts open, wind and rain swirling into the small space like a chaotic spirit uninvited. Marcus stands there, drenched and wild-eyed, water dripping from his hair and clothes. The sight of his son sends a jolt of mixed emotions through Samuel: love, anger, confusion. "Dad!" Marcus calls, his voice strained, cutting through the storm's roar. "We need to talk." "Do we?" Samuel replies, his tone colder than he intends. He feels the weight of the eviction notice in his pocket, a constant reminder of the betrayal. "What could we possibly have to discuss?" Marcus steps inside, shutting the door behind him with a force that sends a shudder through the house. "I know you're angry. You have every right to be, but I didn't come here to fight." He runs a hand through his hair, pushing back the wet strands clinging to his forehead. "I came to explain." Samuel's heart races, a mixture of hope and dread swirling within him. "Explain what?" "How you sold this house out from under me. How you conspired with that crooked agent." He gestures wildly around the room, the walls closing in on him as his voice rises. "This was our home, Marcus. Our family's history. I had no choice." Marcus snaps, frustration mingling with desperation in his voice. "You don't understand what I've been going through. I didn't want it to come to this." Samuel studies his son, searching for the boy he once knew beneath the hardened exterior. The storm outside mirrors the tempest brewing between them, and with each passing second, Samuel's resolve hardens. "Then tell me, Marcus. I want to understand. But you need to be honest with me." Marcus takes a deep breath, his shoulders slumping as he steps closer. "It's not just about the house. It's—" He hesitates, glancing down as if the words are too heavy to bear. "It's about the debts. I've been trying to keep everything together, but it's been impossible. I thought, maybe if I sold this place I could pay everything off. I thought I could save us." "Save us?" Samuel's voice is incredulous, the word tasting bitter on his tongue. "You've put us in danger, Marcus. You've betrayed me in the worst possible way." "I know," Marcus says, his voice barely a whisper now. "I'm sorry, but I didn't want to lose you too. I thought if I could fix everything, we could still have a future together. I just got scared." A silence falls between them, thick as the storm clouds looming outside. Samuel's mind whirls with a mixture of anger and sorrow. He wants to scream, to lash out, but he also sees the boy he raised, the boy who once trusted him implicitly. Could he find it in himself to forgive? "Do you even see what you've done?" Samuel's voice is steadier now, but pain laces each word. "You've betrayed my trust, my love. This house isn't just wood and nails. It's a part of who we are. You've thrown that away for a quick fix." Marcus's eyes glisten, a storm of his own brewing within them. "I didn't know what else to do. I thought I could fix it all before you found out. I thought I could protect you from the truth." "The truth?" Samuel echoes, his heart pounding in his chest. What truth? That you're willing to sacrifice everything we've built for your mistakes? Because that's not protection, Marcus. That's cowardice. I know. I know. Just, just give me a chance to make it right. Marcus pleads, desperation creeping into his voice. I'll find a way to get the house back. I can work with the agent. We can fix this. Samuel's breath catches in his throat as he contemplates his son's words. There's something fragile about the hope in Marcus's eyes, a flicker of the bond they once shared. But trust is not easily rebuilt, and the wounds of betrayal run deep. Why should I believe you? Samuel asks, the question hanging heavy in the air. You've put your own interests above our family. How can I trust you to fix this when you've already torn us apart? Marcus opens his mouth, the words struggling to escape, but nothing comes. Instead, he looks down, the weight of his actions pressing down on him like the storm outside. The silence stretches between them, taut and trembling. Because I'm your son, he finally whispers, the vulnerability in his voice cutting through the tension like a knife. And I love you. The words hang in the air, heavy with unfulfilled promises and longing. Samuel feels the walls of his heart crack slightly, a fissure of understanding breaking through the anger. Perhaps there is still a chance, if only they can navigate the storm together. Love isn't enough, Marcus, Samuel says, his voice softer now but laced with a bittersweet edge. Not when trust is broken. But maybe we can figure this out together. Marcus looks up, hope igniting in his eyes. You mean it? You'll give me a chance. Samuel nods slowly, the storm inside him beginning to quiet as he considers the path forward. But know this, it won't be easy. You'll have to prove to me that you're willing to fight for this family. I will, Marcus vows, determination filling his voice. I promise, Dad. I'll do whatever it takes. As the storm rages outside, Samuel feels a flicker of something he thought lost. Hope. Together, they may yet weather this tempest, finding a way to reclaim not just the house, but the bond that had once defined them. With a deep breath, he steps closer, ready to face the unknown, ready to fight for their future. In that moment, Samuel realizes that even amidst the chaos, there exists the possibility of redemption, and perhaps, just perhaps, they can rebuild what was broken. The storm had finally relented, leaving only the distant rumble of thunder to echo through the neighborhood. Samuel stood by the window, watching the last drizzles of rain slide down the glass like tears. Outside, the world appeared washed anew, the colors more vibrant against the gray sky. But inside, his heart felt heavy, the weight of betrayal still pressing down on his chest. After Marcus's confrontation, the air between them had crackled with unresolved tension. Samuel recalled the look in his son's eyes, a mixture of remorse and defiance that sent a chill through him. Marcus had wanted to save their family, but all Samuel could see was the destruction left in his wake. He had sacrificed so much for his son, only to be cast aside like a forgotten toy. Turning away from the window, Samuel felt a flicker of determination ignite within him. The text from Lisa had served its purpose. It had jolted him from his stupor of despair. Now, he needed to take the next steps in reclaiming his life and his home. Marcus might have thought he could pull the wool over his father's eyes, but Samuel was done playing the victim. He picked up his phone, the screen lighting up with the image of Lisa, a photograph from a happier time, capturing a carefree moment during one of their long hikes in the woods. A pang of nostalgia swept through him, but he quickly pushed it aside. He needed Lisa's legal expertise now more than ever. With a deep breath, he dialed her number. As the phone rang, Samuel's heart raced. He had not spoken to Lisa since their breakup, choosing to nurse his wounds in solitude rather than reaching out for support. But this was different. He needed her guidance, her sharp mind, and her unwavering spirit. Hello. Her voice was warm yet cautious, as if she were unsure of the purpose of his call. Lisa, he said, his tone steady despite the storm of emotions swirling inside him. It's Samuel. I need your help. There was a brief pause, and Samuel could almost hear the gears turning in her mind. What's going on? I received an eviction notice for the house, he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. The admission felt like confessing a sin. Marcus, he betrayed me. He sold it without my consent. Oh, Samuel. Her voice softened, a hint of sympathy lacing her words. I'm so sorry. That must be incredibly painful. It is, he replied, his throat tight. But I refuse to let this happen without a fight. I need legal advice. I need to know what my options are. Of course, I can help you with that. Let's meet and go over everything. There was a resolve in her voice that sparked hope within him. How about tomorrow? We can go over the eviction notice and any documentation you have. I'll make time. Thank you, Lisa. The words felt heavy with gratitude, a stark contrast to the bitterness that had colored his thoughts so recently. I'll see you then, she said, and Samuel could sense the warmth of their friendship beginning to rekindle. With that, he hung up, feeling a flicker of optimism for the first time in days. The night pressed on, and Samuel prepared for the meeting by gathering all the necessary documents: years of mortgage statements, tax records, and the eviction notice itself. Each paper felt like a piece of his life, a testament to his hard work and sacrifices. As he meticulously organized the files, he found himself recalling the countless memories that filled the house. Marcus's laughter echoing through the hallways, family dinners around the old oak table, and the quiet moments spent reading by the fireplace. Each memory weighed on him, a reminder of what he stood to lose. As dawn broke, the sky transformed into a canvas of soft pastels, the sun breaking through the clouds like a herald of hope. Samuel dressed with care, slipping on a pair of well-worn shoes and a crisp button-up shirt, a small act of defiance against the chaos that threatened to engulf his life. He was determined to face this challenge head-on. When he arrived at the cafe where they agreed to meet, he felt a mix of anxiety and anticipation. The scent of freshly brewed coffee wafted through the air, mingling with the crisp morning breeze that slipped through the open door. He spotted Lisa seated at a corner table, her laptop open and a notepad at her side. She looked up as he approached, her smile warm yet tinged with concern. "Samuel," she greeted, standing to offer a brief hug. "I'm glad you reached out." "Me too," he replied, taking a seat across from her. "I've been lost, I guess." Lisa nodded, her expression shifting to one of focus as she gestured to his files. "Let's dive in. Tell me everything." As he laid out the documents, Samuel felt the weight of his troubles begin to lift, if only slightly. He explained the situation with Marcus, his voice steady as he recounted the betrayal and the subsequent confrontation. Lisa listened intently, taking notes, her brow furrowed in concentration. "Your son's actions are definitely troubling," she said after a moment of silence, her voice grave. "Selling the house without your consent is not only unethical but potentially illegal, depending on how the property is titled. We need to look into that." Samuel nodded, his heart racing at the thought of reclaiming his home. "What do I need to do?" "First, we'll need to review the deed and any relevant agreements. If you're the sole owner, we have a solid case. If not," she hesitated, pausing to gauge his reaction. "If not, we may need to explore other options." The reality of his situation crashed over him like a wave. "He's my son, Lisa. I don't want to go to war with him." "I understand," she replied gently, "but you also deserve to protect what's yours. This isn't just about the house. It's about your dignity and your right to a safe home." Samuel's heart ached at her words. The thought of fighting Marcus felt like a betrayal in itself, but so did allowing him to walk away unscathed after what he had done. "What if we can find a way to make this right? Maybe if we talk it out." "Samuel," Lisa interjected, her voice firm yet compassionate, You can't negotiate with someone who has already betrayed your trust. It's important to establish boundaries. You have to protect yourself first. He took a deep breath, absorbing her words. Perhaps it was time to stop protecting Marcus at the cost of his own well-being. "Okay," he said finally, the resolve in his voice surprising even himself. "Let's fight for my home." The determination in his heart began to morph into a tangible energy, feeding off Lisa's unwavering support. They spent the next hour discussing strategies, the tension of the situation becoming a flicker of excitement in Samuel's chest. Each plan they devised felt like a step toward reclaiming not just the house, but the life he had worked so hard to build. As they wrapped up their meeting, Samuel felt a sense of purpose he hadn't experienced in years. The storm inside him had calmed, replaced by a newfound resilience. He left the cafe with a renewed sense of agency, the weight of betrayal still present but no longer suffocating. The road ahead would be difficult, but he was no longer alone. Samuel had allies in his corner, his memories, his resolve, and the unexpected support of his ex-partner, who reminded him that even in the darkest times, there was always a chance for redemption. And perhaps, just perhaps, there was still hope for Marcus, too.